So today I'm going to talk about, have you ever looked back in a season in your life and realized somewhere along the way you stopped trusting yourself? I know I have. I thought I knew exactly who I was. I had done the healing work. I worked on my self-esteem, and I knew I wanted to be in a relationship. Not only that, but I knew the kind of woman I wanted to be in a relationship. But looking back, I didn't lose trust in myself overnight. It happened one small moment at a time. I was once in a relationship with someone that I loved and cared for very much. And this person was everything that I thought I wanted in a relationship. This person was sweet, thoughtful, he was attentive, he listened to me. He would rub my feet when I was tired. He would help me when I was doing catering events. And we seemed like we were best friends. And then we weren't. I started realizing, or I started seeing signs that made me question myself. So I've done a lot of work on my self-esteem, on my healing journey, on my belief systems. And I thought I was at a point in my life where I didn't have to do any more work. I thought I got to a point where I was very much self-aware. I knew exactly what I wanted. I knew exactly what kind of partner I wanted, and not only what I wanted, I knew what kind of woman I was going to be to that partner. And then here comes this guy, tall, handsome, brown skin, physically fit, entrepreneur, and he knew exactly what to say to get me. He really did. And I didn't see it at first. But then a subtle shift started to change. I started hearing things that I thought, that made me ask myself, was that a compliment or was that a dig? For example, I'll just give you very, very small example. Why you wear your hair like that today? I liked your hair the way it was the other day. Or, you got a certain style. What I like to see you in is this. Or, who told you that you could do this? Or who told you that you could do that? Where'd you learn that from? Now, I am a person who I consider myself to be coachable, knowing I'm not perfect and I'm always trying to better myself. So in the beginning, I took those comments as things that I could take in and learn from and help me to become a better person. But then I started to notice a pattern. I started realizing that on the days when I was feeling myself and I felt good about things and I knew I was on top of my game, that's the day that those comments would come. And so subtly over time, I started changing. I stopped wearing my hair like that. I stopped wearing that outfit, which was one of my favorite outfits. I started wearing less makeup. I started looking plain. I started feeling tired. I started becoming exhausted. And more importantly, I started questioning myself, my own judgment. This is something that over time, it affected my emotional regulation system and my central nervous system. So if I went to work and I was working on a project and my boss may have criticized or she may have given me constructive feedback regarding my progress on this project, I took it personally. And I started feeling like I no longer know how to do my job, or this environment is hostile. But it wasn't. That's what she was paid to do. She was paid to tell me what I was doing, if I was on track, what needed to be better, what worked well. That's what she was paid to do. That was her job, right? She was my direct supervisor. But because I had been conditioned, very small, micro, conditioning that was designed to make me doubt myself, I lost my sense of judgment. You know, after I started questioning myself, that really wasn't the hardest part. The hardest part wasn't someone else was questioning me. It was I started losing myself. Lately, I noticed that almost every difficult relationship is been labeled as narcissism or a toxic relationship. And I think that we need to be careful when we do that, because relationships are the things that bring out your character. They are designed to make you better. So if you are automatically placing a narcissistic label or a toxic behavior label on those relationships, how will you grow as a person? Sometimes it's accurate, sometimes it's not. But I think an even more important question is this: what happened inside of me that made me stop trusting myself? I think sometimes we confuse healing with understanding somebody else's behavior. But really, healing is about reconnecting with your own voice. There came a point when I realized I didn't need somebody else to tell me who I was or who I am. I needed to reconnect with the woman I was before I started doubting myself. That changed everything. But I think more importantly, a lot of us are just unhealed. And we have gone through a process of conditioning that we've adopted as our normal personality or our normal behavior. And when we get in relationships, whether that is a job, whether it's a mother, children, mother, father, family relationship, or if it's a romantic relationship, it's going to bleed out into those dynamics. How do we fix that? How do we work on that? First, the number one thing is awareness. We need to get to a point, or we need to normalize questioning ourselves. What was it about that made me feel this way? What triggered me to respond that way? Where did I get that from? We need to identify those early childhood patterns that made this an issue. And then once we identify those patterns, then we need to start asking ourselves, is that true? Is that how I see myself? Or is this somebody trying to assign or project that on me? Once we get there and we work through that, we keep asking ourselves, we keep working through those things. Eventually, we will get to a point where we understand our triggers. We know who we are as individuals, and we know what belongs to us, what's on our own clothesline, and what somebody else is projecting upon us. And then we can make choices. Do I want to continue to deal with this person, this job, this relationship? Or do I want to allow this to continue, but I protect myself with my personal boundaries? And that creates lasting change, meaningful change. That creates transformation. Now, after a long period of time of going through these types of relationships, it will play a major role in how your body responds to things. And I'm going to make another video about how your body remembers trauma. So, my question to you is this: has there ever been a time in your life when you slowly stopped trusting yourself? And if so, what did you do to find your voice again? I really love to hear your thoughts in the comments, because I think this is a conversation that more of us need to have. Sometimes emotional manipulation isn't loud. It's so subtle that you don't realize it's happening until one day you realize that you stopped trusting yourself. You don't trust your own judgment. And after a while, you don't know who you are anymore because you've lost yourself. So, tell me, has there ever been a time in your life when you slowly stopped trusting yourself? And if so, what happened to help you find your voice again? I really love to hear about it in the comments, because I think this is a conversation that more of us need to have. So, thank you so much for watching. And I can't wait to further this conversation in the comments. Have a great day.